Alright, hello everyone. How's it going? Welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'm your community manager, Cordovan, and I'll be with you for the next hour, hanging out. I'm going to be running the anniversary event. Originally, I was thinking I would use today's show as one of two for checking out the raid, but I'm just not really ready for that yet. I didn't give myself enough time to put together a group for today, and so I had to call an audible and do something else for today's show. So what I'm going to do is run the anniversary. This is the final weekend of the anniversary event, and I haven't run it yet this year on the live stream. So I thought we would just mostly hang out in the festival space, probably run the instance, set off some fireworks, and enjoy the final weekend here of the anniversary event in the Lord of the Rings Online. Yeah, this is the final weekend. It goes through, what, the 5th, the 6th? I'll have more specific information here in just a little bit. But there you go. I'm running a bit behind today. It's been a scramble. So sales just got up as well on the forums, and we had some forum maintenance this week. That was pretty good, so I'll talk about that, I guess, in just a little bit. I wanted to start, actually, though, just by mentioning one of the things that happened this week. I know there are people on stream who know and somewhat care about my kitty, Miss Elizabeth Bennett, and she had a bit of a medical emergency this week. She'll be okay. She's on antibiotics, but I had to take her to the emergency vet yesterday because she just wasn't eating. And at the age of 16 years old, you know, a cat who hasn't eaten for a couple of days becomes a little bit more of a thing you gotta deal with. So I did deal with that, and I'm happy to say that Miss Elizabeth Bennett will be okay, as she has an infection around her jaw and stuff, so I had to do all sorts of fun stuff in the past 24, 48 hours here, but she's doing all right here today. So that was a little bit of a distraction in terms of my work week this week, as I did in fact have to deal with some of that. And so I ended up getting kind of late in getting the raid info thread up on the forums, and I was just going to plug it, do a regular pickup group of the raid this week, and then next week try to find some kinship that I can run with and do that. And I think that'll still happen. I'll still try to do the raid next week, but I just was not ready this week to do anything like that. I've been busy doing other things, and getting to some of the news here that we'll talk about in just a second. So that's been my week. That's been my week, really. So that's what's up. While I am going through some of the news, let's perhaps just kind of chill out in the space here and get ready to launch some fireworks here, perhaps in just a little bit. In the meantime, let me get to your chat and a little bit of news. So, let's start with the news here. First thing I do want to mention, this is the final weekend of the anniversary event. It goes until 3 a.m. Eastern on May 6th, so through Sunday, getting shut off 3 a.m. Eastern on Monday. Although you do have until 3 a.m. Eastern next April 1st to pick up your login reward. The 17th anniversary login reward is available to those who picked up the 16th last year. Otherwise, you get incremented by 1. And either way, you've got until April 1st to do that. So, basically all through the next year here. We do have a guide up on Lotro.com if you want to get the hang of what you got to do to get going with the anniversary event. I would mention we have a 20% Virtue XP boost happening this weekend. That also goes through May 5th, getting shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on the 6th. And a little bit of sales news here as well. And that is that we have got, as of this week, it's one of the things that you asked me about just in the past couple of weeks, and I wasn't able to give you an exact answer, but now I can, which is that Corsairs of Umbar is now available in the Lotro store, 4 points. Also, the Mariner is now available in the Lotro store, 4 points. So if you have hopefully took advantage of that double bonus point sale we had the last couple of weekends, but if not, whatever, maybe you got lots of free points, you can now spend them on Corsairs of Umbar, and the Mariner, or you can buy points now if you want to. I would also mention we do have dyes as our weekly coupon. We're giving out 2 again this week. That'll be a forest green and a red dye. Kind of going Green Dragon Inn themed. So Green Dragon Dyes is the coupon code to get Paradise for your character. And I think that is most of the news. We did have a Bull Roarer this week. That's the latest for Update 40. Update 40 is fully under development and getting ready for release. We'll be getting that out later this month is the goal for Update 40. I'm just real quick going to look at the calendar to see what we have for future betas. I think we have one next week. And I will, yes, tentative. We tentatively have one set for next week, so that means it may or may not happen depending on what happens this weekend, really into Monday. But we are getting close for the release of Update 40, and so our beta period is wrapping up there. If you've had an opportunity to check it out this week, we kind of were able to do a bit of a longer beta this week because we had a shorter one last week due to technical issues and getting the preview server propped up. But we had one this week as well. You can check out the Lotro forums for anything you want to see there. And that is what I've got for news. So I guess let's see if there's anything in chat, and then otherwise say we'll just kind of hang out here today. We'll do a little bit of running of the anniversary event. I'll probably run the instance, and we'll just sort of see whatever we want to do. Coupon, not coupon, huh? Okay, well, so you know, I'm an old Midwestern boy, and us folks growing up in southern Minnesota, we say coupon. It's coupon. I know.
Stay and have some tea.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you're also wrong. I don't think there is any specific reason on the timing for the... No, I don't think there's any specific reason on the timing for the anniversary event. If it's a little shorter this year... I mean, I guess I would be somewhat surprised if we really were a full week shorter this year. Are we really? I don't think that's intentional. I think it would just be, generally we try to take whatever you need to do to get the meta deed done, and then add some padding to it to allow, you know, so you don't have to go in too nuts there. And that's really about the extent of what we try to do. So I will have to look into that. If we're short this week, well, sorry. I guess in the future we'll have to take a look at it. But you should be able to. Should be able to get it done anyway, right? Also, maple syrup, not syrup. Is that true? Syrup? Syrup or syrup? S-Y-R-U-P. I guess I don't even know what I say now. Now that I have to think about it, I'm not sure. I think I would say syrup. So I kind of mixed the two. What was the bug on the carry-alls? Let me think about how I should say this. There was an emergency issue with the carry-alls where we discovered that people were able to do some intentional and unintentional bad behaviors with it that we couldn't, that was serious enough we were not able to leave it open. I don't have the timeline for the fourth profession. Orion would be the one who would most know the potential timeline for that. I saw him post on the forums, I believe it was roughly this past week. And I can't remember if he talked about that or not, but I think the timeline is up in the air at this point. It'll be when we can do it. And I don't think that that is something we actually know at this point ourselves. So. Okay, so what am I doing? Okay, I've got all the... Oh, I need to speak to the hobbits at the Bree Fireworks Show area. Did I get all the... I must have done the thing I need to do. Okay. The ideal location spawn point on the pony stage. It's disrespectful to any bands performing during the festival. Oh, I see what you're saying. The ideal location spawn point that is on the stage tier. Okay. Well, I would say let's submit that as a bug. Maybe it's a feature request, but that sounds like something that we could... If someone's got the time to get it done, maybe we could get that done and move that one spot node away from there.
A lovely day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, so, let me thank you, Glisten Mist, for bringing that up and jogging my memory. I did want to talk a little bit about the forum work that got done this week. One of the long-standing bugs we've had since we brought the forums up about a year ago now is that avatars were sometimes not rendering correctly, and it's super annoying. And there was nothing we could... Well, there was something we could do about it, but it was a big project, and that's why it took a year. But that work has now been done. And so we've moved to a different solution, essentially, to...
Hello, friend. Could you help me with
to the
something?
way that we're hosting the avatar images on the forums. And so we brought the forums down for a couple hours yesterday and did some work on the back end to them. We also updated the forum software on that. But one of the things we're able to do is get in this different hosting solution for all the avatar images. So now we fixed that bug. We have also, although my confidence level in this is somewhat less.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Sorry. It's just true, though. That we've largely fixed, I think, an issue with login redirects not properly redirecting. And that's a big bug that tends to manifest in a billion different ways. So that's why my confidence level is relatively low. That we've actually resolved this. But, in theory, we've actually resolved this. There we go. And that would be amazing if that were true. And I hope it is. So that would manifest where if you try to log into the forums, you're not getting redirected to the forum homepage. So that's really the work that was done yesterday on the forums, but it's nice. So the biggest bug that I am aware of that is a Lotro specific bug, in particular for the forums. Oh, I'll let the guy have it. Is that sorry, let me get a second to collect my thoughts. Oh, it's a display issue on mobile that I want to try to resolve. I have so far been unsuccessful in doing so, however, just to be aware. And the issue is that there's like a left sidebar that shows up on the mobile version of the Lotro forums. And I've got a text on background issue where the text doesn't... it's there, you just can't really read it because of the color of the background that's also going on. And the problem I've run into, because I've tried several times now to just find it and change it, but it's a dependency thing where it's not listed as mobile sidebar or something like that. And so what I'm actually going to be changing is some kind of secondary option that will be displaying elsewhere as that color, and I need to figure out what that color is to know whether I can change it to something that, you know, I'm not just moving the problem, but I'm actually solving it. And that, unfortunately, has taken longer because I can't figure out where the location of the thing is in the settings. Because, like I say, it's not listed as, you know, mobile sidebar or something like that. And so I've tried to... It is also a problem where, you know, I've got basically a test version of the forums. There's like the real forums, and then there's just like sort of a propped up test version that I can use to do a little bit of element changing and things, so I'm not messing with things that are live. Except I can't get that to display on mobile because I can't access it on my mobile phone. So I ultimately, at some point here, I'm either going to have to take the forums down and mess with it, or mess with it in real time. And then everyone's going to get to see all the mistakes I make. And that'll be fun too. Oh, I need to clear out space. I've got an overflow problem. Let me take care of that. Alright.
Greetings.
Sorry, I have to clear out a little bit of space. My inventory is a mess. Of course it is, right? But I need to figure out what I can get rid of. Free up a little space here. That should be enough to get my envelopes in place. Let me do a quick search. There we are. See what kind of luck I get. Catching those letters is easier if your avatar is inebriated. Okay. Some kind of targeting thing is what you're talking about, maybe? I could see that. I could see that. For the next anniversary festival, can we mention to the other staff if we can reduce the anniversary tokens for items? They're very... I don't know what you're saying. fetch quest and give little tokens, and the items require too much. It's like if you miss a few days, you never get the items. A few quests, okay. I don't know that we have a lot of motivation necessarily to adjust that. But sure, it's something we can look at.
What can I do for you?
Alright, well, let us head to Goon. Just not this way. Do I ever think we will get a new dwarf homestead in the future? Well, I mean, I assume what you mean by that is you're not counting the Gundabad housing as maybe what you're looking for specifically. Because we did do that. We did have all that Gundabad stuff. I think it'll probably be some time before we would have an opportunity to get to it. But I'm sure we would get to something like that eventually. I think as long as there's interest on our part and your part in that kind of housing, I would think that at some point we would get to it. Again. But yes, we've got other plans next.
What can I do for you? Would you do something for me?
Hello there. Can I take a moment of your time?
This is the best way to get a lot of your quests done in a short period of time, by the way, is this gifts quest. You can get pretty good and cycle through that. I know that there's always interest in having more hooks, but I know that Scenario has talked about that we really are pretty well pushed to our limit at the moment in terms of what we can offer for housing hooks, and I know that people would always like more. And maybe we can offer more in the future, but, you know, I don't want to preclude that as an option. But I think we're already pushing things in terms of the limits of what the system can handle, and I'm not sure that I see us doing a lot more housing hooks. Oh, so Orion Eternal asks, you're curious how many houses are available versus how many have been purchased. Do we get easy housing metrics? Yes and no. We do have to do the work to query that. So it's not just like a constant meter that's always going up here, you know. But yeah, we can get information on housing, you know, pretty easily, for sure. In terms of how much is available, it depends really on, because the system will dynamically open up new neighborhoods based on how much inventory is left. So, and then eventually, if it really pushes itself, you know, to the limit, where am I going? Okay, yeah, right down here. Esmeralda. Here we go. There are times where we have to manually do it too, but Okay, why am I... Why? Oh, there we go. I was having a brain issue. I'm like, where is Esmeralda? Why am I not... It's just not working. Hammer to Dudo, Chubb, and Hobbiton. Well, okay. Have we seen an increase in lag? Quite a lot of people on Belagir are reporting more serious lag and high loss in the past 2 weeks. There have been a couple of things that we have been working on with that does impact Belagir specifically in the past couple of weeks, and that is that we have done some work to improve our connection to some of the ISPs in that region, particularly Deutsche Telekom. We've done some work that I know has manifested in some improvement. I know that there is work that needs to be done as well. And then we have had a little bit of unexpected impact over the past couple of weeks as well that we've been having to deal with. Some bad actors in the world that have been causing us some hassles. And so we've been having to deal with that in the past couple of weeks as well. So it could be that either one of those issues could have affected you on Belagir. But on the positive side, we've made some improvement there, and we are continuing to look at it. Additionally, there was some work done this week related to some technology that, if it proves itself out, we might be able to do a little bit more on first. But we proved this out through some of the stress testing that we've done on Bullroarer in recent weeks, and that went live here with this most recent patch. And that is, I guess, I don't want to get too much into the weeds in terms of how it works, but it really has to do with the way that server instances are load balanced. For those who maybe work in IT that might know a little bit more about that sort of thing, what we're doing is we're taking some of the areas that have historically had some level of performance impact on other areas they share server space with. So if you think about, let's say you're in Minas Tirith, because this is one of the places we targeted for this. Let's say you're in Minas Tirith and it's causing problems and you're kind of lagging out. Not only are you lagging out, but the impact of what's going on in Minas Tirith could impact other instances that are sharing that resource node, essentially. And so what we've done as of this, most recently, is we've taken Minas Tirith and the Etten Moors, and we've put them on, we've basically pinned them to their own little section, and the way that the game handles resource management. So that doesn't mean that lag's going to be fixed in Minas Tirith, and that doesn't mean that lag that is caused by things that weren't Minas Tirith are going to be any better. But for those of you who say maybe weren't in Minas Tirith but experiencing some deleterious performance due to what was happening in those areas, that should be largely a thing of the past if this all works out. And so it is a lag fix, but it's also doesn't solve lag exactly. What it does is it means that if you're experiencing a problem, say in the Etten Moors or Minas Tirith, it's only going to impact you in Minas Tirith and the Etten Moors. And so that's some work that we've also done here in this past week or so. You have to be careful because of the way it all works, so we can't just pin everything to its own thing, right? That doesn't work either. But for this specific case of a few areas that we know historically are a bit of resource hogs, right? Then they can just sort of sit there and cook along on their own without causing problems for anyone else.
Good day. Might I have a word with you?
I don't know when we can expect to have
How do
Sev
you
on
do?
with me. It should be pretty soon. There's no particular reason that he hasn't been on. We've just been busy. We're going to take a little trip here while I do this. While I get some questions. I would expect to see Sev on, let's say, within maybe the next month or so. But I've got, let's say I want to do 2 raid streams here. I'll probably be off one Friday later in May here. So, sometime soon. Last couple of weekends, he's been busy with some personal projects and PTO and not PTO, doing actual work. So he hasn't had time to get on the show. We've had Orion on not too long ago, and we'll be having him on again. We've got Scenario on starting June 1st. We're taking May off here because we just did the Update 40 preview recently, and you can find that over on YouTube as well. So I am not a server engineer. I can't, there's only so much I can really tell you about how this all works and everything. But the idea of pinning every instance also would not necessarily, not only would it not make sense, but it probably wouldn't actually provide the kind of benefit that pinning something like Minas Tirith on the Envors does. I have no thoughts on a potential conference final between the Celtics and the Knicks. What I can tell you about the Boston Celtics is that I really like Dr. J versus Larry Bird one-on-one basketball for the Atari 7800. Can we close some empty servers, make the servers elsewhere, like other geographic areas? Well, I don't think we have any real desire to close any servers. I don't think there would be any need for that. We do have Legendary Worlds that will be opening here in the future, and we'll have more information about that as we get a little bit closer to it. The idea of other geographic worlds is certainly something that geographic areas to locate servers, like you could say have something in Asia or Europe or something like that, is in fact things that we've been looking into. We'll see what we can do, but I have nothing that I can really say today about that. Does Sev decide everything greenlit for Lotro? Does he make the yearly plan and give tasks? It's less dictatorial than that. We are, in many cases, a veteran team that have been around a long time, and so we often can make these decisions as a group, but then also we have had long-term planning that has taken place. So oftentimes decisions is more, well, this is what we currently have planned. What are we actually going to do if we're going to make adjustments there? He decides many things. He helps guide many things. The project leads for various things have a lot of power themselves to decide things as well for the team. I can't really speak to the 32-bit client virtual memory question, Mary Alice. You mentioned that you've messaged Orion about it. Orion might be able to provide more information than I can. It's not always decision by consensus. It's often decision by lead, right? Who's doing the work is usually the person that creates the design documentation and all that sort of thing. But it is true that oftentimes someone like Severlin is going to have to look at, because video game development is pretty much always about this, which is you can do 100 things, and here's a list of 500 things that have to be done. Figure it out. And that ultimately is a lot of what Sev's job is, you know? Yeah, Skymanic, you're correct. The issue I was speaking about routing through some of the ISPs in Europe is not just a Belagare specific issue, it's just that we have a high European population on Belagare, so they would be more adverse or more likely to see some of the impacts that have been taking place. But in general, again, I'm not a network engineer, but when you actually start getting into what it takes to get the internet running, it's amazing that we have the internet at all in this world in some ways. I can't speak, Patty McGinty, as to the current state of our game population. I apologize. That's just not really a horse race I can be a part of. Also, I took this route because I wanted to go... Here we go, Thorn's Gate. There we go. Does the system automatically close empty neighborhoods? I don't think so. Typically, empty neighborhoods exist and stay empty, but then also we don't have a lot of empty neighborhoods with the premium housing system. You do tend to find, because people really, especially early on, people really want the, you know, guild halls and maybe specific premium houses, and so there is a balance that has to take place between allowing access to that and not, not having a bunch of empty neighborhoods otherwise. And that ultimately is just a system that over the years, we have people on the systems team who monitor that and have gotten good just because they've done it now enough times to sort of get the rollout of premium housing so it's not a whole bunch of empty neighborhoods with just big premium houses in it or something like that. So. No, I can confirm that the server hamsters are not the hamsters that are being distributed virtually through the game.
Well met.
This anniversary.
Will you stay and speak with me a moment?
An anime about Lotro. Isn't something like that happening? I thought I saw something. Wasn't there kind of a Rohan-focused thing that was influenced by anime that I remember seeing a thing about, I thought? Maybe? Maybe not. Yeah, War of the Rohirrim. There we go. Someone purchased a Kinmate, an old Lotro DLC code, but it did not work in the store. Are all Lotro codes expired now? Not all, but many of those old DLC codes that are no longer being sold are in fact no longer redeemable as well. Get in touch with CS if you have any questions or if you run into any issue on it. See what they can do for a make good or something. But correct. There's also an outstanding issue where there are a few old, outdated DLC codes that are still up on Amazon, and it's been a challenge.
Will you stay and speak with me a moment?
To get that listing taken down. I'm sorry to say. Which is why it has not yet happened. Oh, is War of the Rohirrim live action? I don't know. Maybe it's just some maybe preview thing I saw. I could have sworn I saw kind of anime-influenced Rohirrim thing in the past year. Alright.
Will you stay and speak with me a
Oh, I
moment?
still haven't done that yet, huh? Alright, so where am I headed? I am headed to Bree. That's where I'm going. I don't know what our gold cap is. I need to look that up. I would need to check that out on the wiki. I assume it's on the wiki. That's not a figure I've got off the top of my head. I should. I guess I probably should. I know on the DDO side, it's actually whatever the binary figure for a 32-bit integer is. But I don't think that's the case on the Lotro side. As a matter of fact, I know it's not, so... Okay. It is an animated thing that's happening. And it's coming out later this year. Someone is saying 9999 in chat. Sounds plausible to me. The idea of previews in the store is something that is an outstanding question. I don't have a good answer for you today, because I'm not sure what we're going to be able to do. It is true that we do not have as robust a cosmetic preview in the news store as we did under the old. Although under the old, we also had a bunch of problems with it not working. But what we do in the future, I think, is still a somewhat outstanding question.
How can I be of service?
I have no idea. Clearly, I am not the expert on this animated series that's happening. Also, I'm hearing a buzzing. I don't know if you're... Oh, here it is. That's where it is. I've got some kind of text chain action happening on my cellular telephone. Alright. I think they're going to show it to horses first. So they're going to be going to ranch stables and propping up projector monitors, and they're then going to show it to all the horses first, and then humans can see it if it tests well among the horse audience. Pretty sure that's how it's going to work. I would love to see an easy way to get to the party tree, frankly, from the anniversary event. I feel that pain, Lord Eater Dude, and if I ever get an opportunity to bring it up, I will. Because I too find that a little... I wish it was different.
What can I do for you?
I suppose I could just go to... Actually, you know what? I can do Mickle Delving instead. Swift travel and then just go to Hobbiton from there. All housing instances have a direct port there. Oh, that's good info. Yeah, so it would be Holiday Guy over on DDO. The max limit is the unsigned integer, so 4.294967296. That's how much plat you can have.
A lovely day, isn't it?
That's true. The cat does not get to go on walks for a little while. Because there's interest and we are a little later on in the show. So what ended up happening with her is she got a tick. I didn't see it. She got a tick, like, behind her whiskers. It, like, got embedded, and then it got infected. And so her face got all swollen, and she couldn't eat because she was miserable. And, so I didn't see it because she was hiding it. And because she was sleeping, and because she's got a lot of floof. But eventually I did see it, after a couple of days of her not eating. And, I didn't see it until I was just about ready to take her to the vet. And then I was like, what is that? Oh my god, are you kidding me? And so then I had the lovely task, which I'm sure any cat owner of a cantankerous kitty can understand, of trying to pick it off her face behind her whiskers with a pair of tweezers. It worked, but I would not say it went well. And then I had to take her to the vet because she had a fever and stuff. So it got infected. So now she's on antibiotics, the poor thing. I could go back in time, what would I change in Lotro or bring back into today's version of the game? That's a tricky question. You know, you don't want to denigrate anyone's work or anything, or expose too many issues. I would say... Well, let me take a very community manager approach to this. And that is that I think given the history that has subsequently happened, you know, given that it's proven itself to actually have survived, been around forever, and not going anywhere, I think if I could go back in time and get a whole bunch more APIs added to our game client, Twitch, YouTube, heck, maybe even Facebook, other things like that, and have a more robust hookup to APIs, especially Twitch is one, I think, because, you know, I've been wanting Twitch drops for years, and no one's against the idea, it's just it's a big project and not one that we haven't really to date been able to fit in to our development time frame. And so being able to go back in time and say, no, for reals, it all worked out great, and you will have benefited for years if you do this, I think would be probably my first go-to. I suppose you could make an argument that 4K might be somewhat similar as well. That if I could go back in time and be like, yo, it's 20, I know it's 2012, but even so, 4K is going to be huge, so do 4K. Maybe that would be what I could do. I know right now you're only playing on a CRT monitor, and it's gigantic at 17 inches. but and it weighs as much as a bus. But I'm telling you, in the future, it's all going to be horizontal. It's going to be like a big rectangle. It ain't going to be a square anymore. And you need to be prepared for that. Then why not 8K? I know. Oh, even we're going through the same thing now, aren't we? People are like, 8K? No one's ever... You can't even see the difference. Well, yeah, eventually you will, though. You're right, though. As soon as... About the time we do 4K, everyone's going to be moving to 8K, but... I myself, though, I can't tell much difference between 4K and 8K, but that's simply because my eyesight is... perhaps more aged. And, so I ain't seeing no difference. But I can see a difference between 2K and 4K for sure, so... I still use a corded mouse. If I ever do get another mouse, I guess I will probably finally move to cordless. Yeah, and you know, trying to convince 2000, say, 8, 2009, 2010 era us to support technology that, you know, is what they'd be like, what? You know? That's how it all works. But if I could go back in time, that wouldn't be a problem. I could just be like, yeah, this is what we need to do. 1920 by 1080. Remember that number. So what, 2130? Nobody could ever remember the number of 4K resolution. 2130 something by whatever. You don't want smell-o-vision in Lotro? Yeah, I suppose. The Apple Nostril Pro. These things it costs like $7 grand, but you stick them in your nose and wow, you can smell everything. You know what's funny is I too, when I was at PAX East this year, I finally almost bought myself a new mouse. I've been using the same mouse since I was hired at Standing Stone here. I've had the same mouse since about 2009. Same with this keyboard. I don't know if you can... It's kind of old, but I've got an old G11. I love this thing. This is what I use. And I know it's old as everything these days, but it's got these nice soft key presses, a scroll wheel. It's got everything I want. And, every time I finally, like, you know, I've been using this keyboard for 15 years. Maybe I should switch. I switch, and then I immediately switch back. Because I'm like, no, that keyboard sucks. You can have your fancy 2024 keyboards. I want this thing. It even has USB ports in it, so you can plug in USB, chain it up. I've actually considered buying, like, a new old stock, but they're not that easy to find these days, these old G11s. You're right, Schmooze, but I do clean the keyboard. I do clean with alcohol. Every couple of years, I get in, take out all the keys, and clean it out, and do everything I need to do. You know, it's funny you mentioned the keyboard there, Yao. The keyboard that has tempted me. I'm sure anyone who plays Lotro has probably been served this ad online. But there's that drop Lord of the Rings keyboard with like Elvish and stuff in it. And I have to admit, that keyboard has tempted me. But I want one that's got like a numpad and things with it. None of them ever do. So they don't really do that these days, but I kind of want it, so. Almost forgot to hit the chest. Shout out to Corky, the cat, amazing cat, who is just pretty cool. Thank you. Yeah, there's also I've seen the Elvish, Dwarvish, and Sindarin, right? There's a Sindarin version too. Yeah, I don't get the point of removing numpads from keyboards either. What's wrong with people? I mean, I suppose it gives you a little space if you don't use it, but I use it all the time. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up for Court of the Rings. Here, this twitch.tv/Lotro stream Friday at noon. I will be back next Friday with more. Druid's Fire is going to be up next. I understand Corey Olson is traveling here today. You can find the full schedule over on Lotro stream. I need to work to get the schedule updated because we do have some new shows that have shown up. So do keep an eye on the schedule for all the latest, and support the other Lotro streamers here. We have a really fun weekend ahead of us, a really fun week, and Update 40 coming not too far away either. So hope you have a great one. I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye-bye.